I have a new horsey with me today. Actually, it's a unicorn, and it's too tall for the space. It's annoying. That's a sidetrack. But maybe not, actually. Maybe they are emotional support, because today we're going to talk about support and how to create your own support when you're looking for a job. Because if you've ever looked for a job, you know that that is hard as fuck. So there are 3 different ways to get support and to create a support system for yourself when you are looking for a job. And we could say 4 if we're including the horses. Still, if you have any good ideas for names, let me know. But the first one is going to be family and friends, and I'm going to go deeper into these in a bit. The second one is going to be hire some support. And the third one, which is, I don't know, I don't even want to say if it's the most important, but it's networking. So finding the right networks, right? And so they're all super important in different ways, and you can do without one of them, but I would definitely make a combination of 2 out of the 3. So if we're starting with family and friends, it's super nice and relevant to have their support when you're looking for jobs, especially if you're in a rough spot and it's hard. Maybe you've been job seeking for a while, and like often they don't necessarily understand, because a lot of them never tried to be unemployed, or they haven't been unemployed for a long time, if that's the case, or they just they don't know the stress of, then on top of that also being an international in a different country, and they don't know the job market there, and it's all different, right? So I think it's super important to let your friends know that, and family for that matter, the situation you're in, and why their support is important to you, and that they don't need to give you job search tips unless you ask. And it would be very nice if they could ask about other stuff than, how's the job search going? Have you found a job yet? All of those things that can kind of put you in a awkward situation, because maybe you're sad, maybe you're like not feeling like talking about it, and they are of course doing this to be supportive, but letting them know that this is not for you, or this is not how they support you. Set boundaries in terms of, how do you feel supported? What is it that they should do to support you? Is it check in with you once a week and just ask about the job? So some people also like that, right? So there's no one size fits all solution to this. So it's really about figuring out, who do you need what support from? So even though I put this into 3 different categories, maybe you also have your family as a category or subcategory where you're like, this is what I want my family to do to support me. And then you have your friend group, and maybe there's different friend groups. So then you have subgroup 2 and subgroup 3. Maybe you have previous colleagues. That's another subgroup. So all of these different people, if there's someone you at least speak to on a regular basis, then make boundaries. Let them know what it is that you need. They can't read your thoughts, right? So it's really important, both for their sake, but also for your sake, because they might start to draw a bit away because they don't really know. Usually we like talking about, so how's your work going, all of those things, and all of a sudden you don't have that anymore. You have a lot of other things going on, but just as well as job searchers or job seekers, people tend to forget all of the value they have and all of the things they do. That also brings value both to people in general, but also to the conversation. Your network is kind of the same. They're going to be the most natural thing in a lot of cultures to go to is to talk about job, right? So really think, what is it that you need from the family and friends that can help and support you, and let them know. So that's the first part. Then the second part is reaching out to a professional. Get support from someone like me who is a career consultant. It can be me, of course. You're welcome to reach out to me to book a session and see if we can, if we're a match. But it could very much also be anyone who works specifically with your culture or country. The reason I say this is, and I know this is very much also based on what I do, because I know that you can get career consultants and job consultants and whatever you call them, who are specific in an industry, and that's super, that's amazing. But from my point of view, there's also something valuable in not necessarily being industry specific, because when I attract clients, I have clients from all different areas, professional, highly educated people, but all different things. So it can be sales, it can be HR, it can be engineers, it can be supply chain, all of these different areas, right? But the thing is that the value in this is that we learn from different areas, but also that everyone has network. So when you come into a network like mine or work with a consultant like me, that's a plus, right? But you could, what I actually wanted it to say, because it wasn't that, was that I think what's really important is to find a consultant that is knowledgeable and preferably also living in the country that you're applying for jobs in, or at least have lived or have really good knowledge about. Because the thing is, what I see again and again is people who follow job search consultants, people who follow career consultants that are really good at what they do in the US or in the UK or in Spain or somewhere else. And then they come to me and they're like, well, I follow this, I've been guided here, and I don't understand. I'm not getting any interviews, there's nothing happening, because they're applying for jobs in Denmark. And the Danish job market is very, very different on a lot of points. So that means that when they're listening to, of course, there's some of the same things as well. If you're looking at my content, I think that I'm fairly clear on the fact that I'm based in Denmark. That doesn't mean that there's not things that you can take from my content, but it just means you need to be aware that my context is Denmark. And of course, when we're talking about body language and all of these kind of more overall topics, that's universal. That was the word I was looking for. Then it's fine. But when I talk about how we interview or how we like a CV or a cover letter, that's based on my knowledge about how it's done in Denmark. You can try it in your own country, but I don't promise that it'll work. But the point here being, the second support part is someone who's knowledgeable around what it is that the job search in your country, in your area. Or it can be a mentor. It doesn't even have to be like a paid consultant. It can also be a mentor that you reach out to that's in the industry you want to be working in. And then the third, networking. I think, again, I was almost like, this is the most important, and I'm not really sure. Again, they're important by themselves. And by the way, I'm coming back to number 3, but number 1, friends and family. Remember, if you are in Denmark or another country as an international by yourself or just with your spouse and partner, so important to still reach out to, if you have the opportunity, to friends and family at home for the connection part of it, or and go with the networking part. So what I mean by that is that now it's then time to look at, where can I gain knowledge? And like I said, when I have, my clients are very diverse, so there are 2 different kinds of network that you can grab onto or that you can find, in my opinion. One is a network that is very specific, only having people who are specific for your area of expertise, right? That's super. Go with that if that's what you want. Then you can also do a network that's a bit more broad, where it's everyone at the same kind of level, but different areas of expertise, different industries, different companies. I think there's a huge value in that. There can be huge value in both. But the reason I keep it broad is because I think, again, like with the finding the right consultant, it's also about finding those people who work, like who has the network. So if you know someone who knows someone, you don't get job through your network, you get job through your network's network. So having that broad network that we never know who people know, it's super, super important in my book. So going out and finding a network that works for you. And again, networks can be paid. It can be a specific job search network. It can also be free networks. It can be just attending network events. It can be, you can network in a sports club. You can network, there can be a lot of places for you to network. Unions have a lot, in Denmark at least, have a lot of events. But going into like industry conferences and stuff where you can also get input from people in your own industry, that is really, really amazing way for you to network. So really remember that having the right support system for your own sake, both for the business side of it, or for kind of the career side of it, but definitely also for the mental health side of it, because it is so stressful to be unemployed because you don't know what's coming next, right? So for back when I worked in the job center, what we saw was also that a lot of people are getting stressed by the system itself, right? So you're in this situation that's already crappy. Sorry, but for a lot of people, depending on how you look at it, I have to say, there are people I'm showing up and being like, this is great. Now I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna learn something. I love that attitude. Maybe also I try to have that myself. But still, even with that attitude, job search can be really, really crappy because you don't know when this uncertainty and this unstable situation is going to end because you're not in control. So when you're in that situation, having the network and like being able to get the support you need for your mental health as well is super important. And I think this is also why when you choose a career coach, if that's the way you choose to go, then it's super important that you choose someone who has that part in mind. I know a lot of internationals and in general, also Danish for that matter, job seekers who are like, I just need to learn about the CV, the cover letter, the interview, and that's it. And what I see is that people who look more holistically, I'm not sure I like that word, but at it and like be, okay, I also need to treat myself well. I need to make sure to have like a good plan. I need to have a strategy. I need to like have this thing set up in a good way. They're usually the people who get jobs faster anyway, because the mental pressure is not as high. So having that holistic part of or mindset of the job search, that getting to know yourself, your values, your talents, your how you work, what you can require from a workplace, all of those things are super important. And that includes having the support system of friends and family, maybe a career coach, and maybe some networking as well. So industry connections, if you can say it like that. I hope this resonate. If you have any topics you would like me to bring up, feel free to write in the comments, and find me on LinkedIn. And then have an amazing, amazing day. I'm gonna go grab some of the support for me and my business now by joining a group coaching for with my mentor. So have an amazing day. Bye.